Okay, the pro-Trump people are having a hemorrhage today, and I've stated to you, for the record, that I do want to get to the bottom of what happened in November. And I won't stop talking about that. That is not going to go away. That is not Russiagate. It's not Russiagate. But I will say this about all of those people doing the fraudster investigations and so forth. You better have something really, really big, because you're literally running out of time. The year is almost over. I know January 6th for a lot of these people is going to be a big day. Trump's having a rally and so forth. This, though, it's like you've got all these competing forces now. You think to yourself, okay, here's the guy that stood up, did something right last week. Thinking to myself, man, I'm really excited about trying to fight for him, but then I see this and I go, here we go. This was a cave of biblical proportions here. This was a monumental sell back out, cash out. I have no idea what the political strategy is here. He looked like the mad populist last week. Now he looks like the ordinary conformist. I mean, keep in mind the billions and billions of dollars that go to ridiculous things, to foreign aid, to the Smithsonian. Remember that? I mean, there are all kinds of things in this bill, and you're just like, what? Why? And Americans get $600. I'm going to say something very progressive right here, which, again, I'm a conservative, libertarian, progressive, independent, political refugee floating in the middle of an ocean of insanity. I'm not an authoritarian. I do not believe in authoritarianism. I believe in freedom. I don't believe in medical tyranny. We have medical tyranny right now. I don't believe in medical tyranny. I think medical tyranny in 2020 has caused more death and destruction than anything else this year. Okay? Just putting it out there. So Trump signs $2.3 trillion Corona screw job after spending day golfing. Now, keep in mind, this is from a very pro-Trump website. It's called News Wars. You may know who they're affiliated with. But they're quoting from The Hill, they're quoting from AP, and obviously there's a certain amount of betrayal that the populist community and movement is feeling today. Those of you who are libertarian, you're laughing your butt off right now. Anyway, I mean, this guy was never, let's just be honest, Trump was never a conservative he was not ever a fiscal conservative. If the Tea Party folks are voting for him or like him because he's fiscally conservative, then they need to, change their prescription, change the medication that they've been receiving. President Trump on Sunday signed Corona bailout, foreign aid, copyright, trolling, extortion. Oh, we forgot about that. Oh, he rightly labeled a disgrace. Yes, when we were all cheering, we're like, yay! Tulsi Gabbard came out, said it was an outrage. Not what Trump did, but the bill itself. And when Trump and her are on the same page, that's a good thing, right? Because there's a shred of populism going on there. There's agreement across ideological lines. Even the super progressives, as they like to call themselves, they were like, yeah, Trump wants to increase it to 2,000, and Pelosi was saying that 600 is significant. Remember that? The way they're spending money, and this is my theory for the libertarians out there, all right? If everybody's hand is already in the cookie jar, right? You got these giant companies, agribusinesses, Walmart, Jeff Bezos, all the usual characters. And they're going to either get some kind of crazy tax relief, and we're printing money. So we're using this modern monetary theory, all right, which I just don't see how it ends well with that. It has to do with the velocity of money, how quickly it exchanges, between groups, individuals, businesses, how quickly that money gets to where it needs to go. And that's how you run the economy. That's how, seriously, and this is pretty much, Trump is signaling this is what he's okay with. All of his chief economists, everybody who's still left in the building, they're all saying, yeah, let's do it. This is very similar to when Bush transitioned over to Obama. And he said you had to save the free market, remember, by temporarily destroying the free market. Yeah. So what it does is it makes all those people who say, I'm a fiscal conservative, look stupid because they're signing on to something that's completely the opposite. For me, because I struggle with all this stuff, especially when it comes to the finances, I go, all right, it's kind of like welfare recipients, all right? Hear me out here. So people tell welfare recipients, go get a job. You're on welfare. Well, the government is giving me food stamps, housing, and these things, and I'm making ends meet. Because all of my bills, because of the whole modern monetary theory concept is all my bills are at least getting paid. I have no motivation to go out and work, but I'm making ends meet, and I'm not stupid. See, this is a lot of people think that, the long-term welfare recipients aren't too smart. No. They're really smart because they say, you want me to go to a job that pays $10 an hour. Once they take all the taxes out, you minus all the travel time, the expenses, being at work, having to buy a lunch or something. Yeah, I know you can make a lunch at home, but say there's a convenience factor. There's all these things that play into it. Your mental health, for instance, dealing with a place where there's no democracy, which is the workplace, because you're basically, again, an indentured servant to the company you work for, which is another tyrannical form of government, basically, who is laying down all these rules. Some of them, yes, to help the company function. Other things, very arbitrary. There's all of this sort of workplace Karenism that goes on. And it's not a fun place to be. Most companies are not fun. Sometimes there's a dress code. I obviously would not fit in, and I didn't. And it was a pain keeping up with all of the different things they wanted you to do. When I was in the business world, I could not stand it. I hated every moment of it. So all those people are like, hey, why don't I just stay home and do what I'm doing? Maybe I can do a little side hustle here and there if I want to make a little extra money. And that's not stupid. We've incentivized, based on our economic system and the way the workplace operates and how there's really no sort of recourse. They can fire you at will for any reason. You show up, you got a hangnail, you got a whisker out of place. I don't like Bob. I just don't like him. I don't like his personality, so we're going to get rid of Bob tomorrow. And Bob goes on unemployment. And then the whole system embraces that whole... We're moving, maybe Andrew Yang had a point with all the UBI stuff, like, hey, we're moving to a point where we're not going to need you. And by the way, with all of this medical tyranny this year, they don't want you in the workplace. They're basically telling you, no, go work from home or don't work at all, Kids are paying a huge price because kids are not designed to be this... lethargic and sedentary, I think was the word I was looking for. So let's continue reading this debacle, shall we? And again, for those of you, the other video I had a Stop the Steal t-shirt on. All right, somebody noticed that and they raked me through the coals. I don't want the election to be a fiasco. I don't. That is why I am 100% on board with getting to the truth. But then you get to the truth, the light at the end of the tunnel, you find out, yeah, it's a fiasco, but then why should I fight for somebody who's going to do this? You know what I mean? So you're put in that box where there's nowhere to go. And hence, this is why the channel is called The Political Refugee right now. President Trump spends Sunday morning golfing. There's some video footage if you want to watch. Georgia poll watcher details irregularities during recount. But what's going to happen? Nothing. This from the AP. President Trump has signed a $900 billion, and I can't stand the Associated Press. I cannot stand them. So it just shows you that the Pro News Wars site is quoting from the AP. The pandemic relief package, which it really isn't a pandemic relief package. It's another porculus bill. It's another giveaway to other countries, large corporations. It supposedly averts a government shutdown because, again, it's continuing resolution. Nobody needs to... Again, I am for a balanced budget amendment. We need to have a budget like every family does. However, again, our personal lives are now being, they mirror what the government does. If the government spends more money than it has, and it continues to do that, and it devalues currency, by the way, in the process, we're doing it at home. If you can save money, then you're a rock star. If you're not spending more money than you're taking in, you are, that is as countercultural right now. And you can just say, hey, well, the government does it. They're $27 trillion. They're going to be 28. I mean, that debt clock thing, it's going to hit 30. It's going to go way up, right? What's it? So $1.7 trillion, all right, to fund government agencies. And again, here's a case for libertarianism through September. What are we spending? Does anybody understand what a trillion is? Nope. I don't. It contains other end-of-session priorities, such as money for cash-starved transit systems, which shows you that the mass transit thing just doesn't work. It should be free. Mass transit should be free. I'm sorry, I sound like Bernie. It should be free because it's so poorly done, and just pay the people, pay the infrastructure. I mean, people shouldn't have to carry tokens or have little cards. Whatever. They should just, maybe they show an ID or something. They're from the town. I mean, even that they don't really need to do. I mean, you don't have to show an ID to vote, right? Sorry. I'm just in a weird mood. Better than the last video, huh? It was a Debbie Downer. The massive bill includes $1.4 trillion to fund government agencies through September and contains other end-of-session priorities, such as money for cash-starved transit systems and an increase in food stamp benefits. Now, based on what I've been seeing, everybody should just get free food, right? Everybody, and I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek, but I'm not. Because if, again, you're going to print money and people need food to survive, right? And going to Walmart these days is a very stressful experience. I'm sorry. It's zombie land, all right? We require masks at Walmart. Yeah, I know that. Left mine at home. Actually, I got to keep buying these things, and maybe you should expense me out a few of those too while you're at it. If you're going to keep requiring, and I do not like the face diapers. Just putting it in there again. I'm thinking free food. You got food pantries right now that are overwhelmed. You've got a supply chain that's being destroyed. So why not let folks just chill out, not worry about the food? They can pay for some of the other things. They can pay for their car and gas and insurance and things like that. I know this sounds like I'm a pure socialist here, but I've gotten to the point where if you're printing money anyway, this is my theory, with the rent and the food and all these things, that the necessities that people need, and maybe this was the plan all along, to make everybody into kind of this utopian socialist kind of thing. I mean, I'd rather not have anything to do with these people. But if they're requiring stuff from me, then I'm going to say, you know what? Payback time. And this is where I become populist, progressive to some degree. I don't like authoritarianism. I don't like all of the weird social issues and things that progressives care about. I don't care about those things. I don't. I'm libertarian. You do your thing, I do my thing. But don't bring me into that world because I'm just not there. I got my own belief system, but I don't need yours. I don't need yours. Just stay out of my way. Would it be better to be independent and off the grid? Yeah, that would be the ultimate lifestyle. You know, have your solar panels hooked up, have a farm, you know, grow and make your own food. No processed crap, no GMOs. I mean, that would be the way to go. But most Americans are becoming more and more dependent on this system. And you can either let these people kind of fend for themselves and then become even less functional people, or, you know, maybe you temporarily assist them. But if we're going to be spending $1.4 trillion to fund government agencies, all right, and $1.4 trillion isn't going to cover food for everybody, okay, just not. But here's the thing. You could at least make priorities when you do this stuff. You instead of, if you read this bill, you'll see things on there that will make your head explode. And then you get to the people, the population, the populism, okay? You hear a little bit of populism toward the end of it all, but it's meager compared to what these foreign countries, these giant corporations, all of the usual suspects. So, you know, we're too big to fail. And the little people, we're not too big to fail because we're kind of little. The new COVID relief bill contains $500 million for Israel. $500 million for Israel. And I don't know if I can blow this up, but this is a tweet from Walter Bragman, who probably laid it out there a little bit here. Yeah. And these are line items. Lot of military spending here in this $500 million for Israel. And there are a lot of people that, both from the left and the right, that are tired of this alliance that we have with Israel. And I am too. I am too. And if you're a Christian and you're all like, well, you need to support Israel, they don't accept Christ as their savior. So your theology is kind of dumb. But 99% of churches, that's what they say. And just if you're a Christian, and the only reason I'm throwing that in there is because it affects the politics. Because people say, oh, we need to protect. No, they can protect themselves. They can fend. They've got great technology. They can do stuff. They're great with medicine. They're great with military. They do great work at the airports. You know, they can scan you in 2 seconds and you'll be on your way. Let them fend for themselves. But they're Israel. No, I don't care who they are. Let all of these countries fend for themselves. The bill also gives millions of dollars to mixed households with both illegal and legal citizens who were blocked from receiving payments in the previous stimulus bill. Now, how do I feel about that? I'm not nutty about it, but if the people are already in the house, then presumably they've been around for a while, for the most part. I mean, I don't know if it's, you know, mixed households. I would say put a condition on it. They need to be registered. They, you know, you hear documented. They need to be documented. Have them get documented. Have them screened for various things as far as medical conditions. They're not citizens, but there's some kind of halfway point. Something, you know, a visa of some kind. But I don't know. I think it's probably a little inhumane to just... I don't know. I know, again, if you're staunchly on the right when it comes to this issue, and all I'm saying is we need a border, okay? We need to know who's here. We need a border and we need to know who's here. As far as how they get here and what they do and so forth, yeah, it'd be nice to have some kind of a merit-based thing, but in reality, people are suffering. They're refugees, where I'm just a political refugee. Some of these people are actual refugees, and this is what I'm saying, it's a case-by-case thing. If you've got the coyotes and all that going on and people jumping fences, and that's a different story, and that's why, again, it's complicated. It's not just a universal blanket amnesty plan, and I don't agree with that. But see, you got to be nuanced, and nobody is nuanced. As soon as you say one thing on this side, you become a racist. If you say a thing on the other side here, then, you don't care about Americans. I would say, in conclusion on this topic, though, that Americans are already really struggling with so many things. And to allow more people to be here so they can increase the struggling, because everybody will struggle more because there's more people to worry about and take care of, that doesn't sound very smart to me. Now, is that why they're sending all these countries foreign aid? So the people won't come here and suffer? They can suffer in their own country? There's so much here to unpack. But this was a big, big letdown for people who thought, hey, he's gone full-blown populist. And, he's got this thing that he's putting out there that he's going to line item and he's going to do this. And he's already signed it. And politically, the writing is on the wall because it was a 91-7 vote in the Senate. So there's no way that there's no political will to do what Trump did on this veto. The left and the right, screwing the American people together, doing it at the same time and enjoying it and not listening to anybody. See, I could fit in with a bunch of progressive populists who weren't into all these crazy social issues. I'd be fine. I'd be fine with those people. I'd also be fine with people who are for, defending their homes and being kind of like on the right, like the prepper type. I could probably fit in with them too. In high school, I was voted most dependable because I used to hang around with burnouts and jocks and geeks, and I hung out with everybody because I like people for the most part, although I do socially distance, and I did that prior to. As I get older, I became a little bit more of a curmudgeon. But all I can tell you, folks, is this is like a pretty big betrayal. There's no candy coating this. And again, I want to be clear. If Donald Duck won the presidency, then Donald Duck should be the president, all right? If Goofy won, then Goofy should be the president, all right? So I do think we need election integrity regardless of who's doing what to whom, because if the election system doesn't matter, the design here is to demoralize everybody, and people say, screw the vote. Last time I panicked, I worried, we were battling this plague and I had to go to the voting booth and I was afraid and this and that. People will say, screw it. I'm just going to live my life and try to make the best of things, and worry about my local government and what's happening in my state, in my county, who my county sheriff is. If you want law and order, if you care about law and order and the rule of law, work locally. I know all this stuff eventually trickles down to your area, and that's what's rough. Either that or, we find, Galt's Gulch, and we all go there, or the people who don't want any part of this anymore. And there are going to be people there. You think the secession thing is just it's crazy tinfoil hat talk? Au contraire, you are going to hear it. You're going to hear about secession, and that opening paragraph to the Declaration of Independence makes it clear that you get to that point when the people running the show don't represent you, and then you have no recourse. The courts won't help you. The branches of government have abandoned you and have all sold out. So this isn't going to end well. I mean, short term, I think people are rope-a-doped right now, but once they wake up and realize what has happened to them, and that will be when the corpse takes over, then the the proverbial dog poo will hit the fan, and it won't be pretty. All right, so that's it. Long video. This is just nuts, huh? There's nothing good about this bill. Nothing.